I still kind of stick to routines of eating because it's simple and I know I can just execute my veggie breakfast burrito, gets it done, yeah. It's warm, it's cold, and it's early, and then you got like a little friend. You can point with it, move those cables, your mark is right there, and then you eat it. I was raised in a family that had an unusual approach to nutrition and to life in general because my parents were religious seekers. They moved from the East Coast to California in the 60s and definitely were a part of that cultural revolution.
So we actually met, like 14 years ago?
And Jess was on her way to becoming a registered dietitian.
We were like, hey, we should do something creative with food and nutrition. So we kind of sat down and planned this idea for Food Heaven. And from there, we started off on Brooklyn Public Access Television.
It's just evolved. Now we do our podcast and we've done a cookbook together. We do all types of content creation. So it's all been very organic throughout the way.
I was raised a vegetarian and then I really rebelled in my 20s, and now I've kind of found a middle ground where I'm a flex. So I typically eat vegetarian at home, and then if I want to have a steak, I have a steak. It's made it a lot easier because I don't feel like I'm depriving myself. I don't feel like I'm focused constantly on my food choices. I just try to make good choices when I can, and then if I want to indulge, I indulge. And I find that balance is as good for me as being really strict, because I feel like you should be living in a space of joy. That's an important nutrient for your diet. I think the things I'm constantly working on because I am so busy are stress management and rest. I'm not a stressed out person, but I have a lot of stress sources. So I'm really trying to find shortcuts to healthier living.
We're going to put together this salad. So I'll just be handing you things that you could just toss it in and eyeball it, whatever looks good to you.
A lot of times people try to talk about healthy eating, like, oh, you should be doing this, why you're not doing that, but we don't really address this idea of food access.
I don't know about you guys, I actually really like eating salad. I never really get excited about eating salad.
Yeah.
But then once I'm eating salad, I'm like, has anybody had salad? Yes. I just never want to make it, but when I'm eating it, I love it.
Challenging that idea that poor people of color are not interested in eating fruits and vegetables. When you provide communities with tools, education, resources, the narrative changes completely.
I think our philosophy is having a healthy relationship with food above all else. I think in the beginning, when we first became dietitians, we weren't as aware of, the healthy relationship with food as being like kind of a primary driving force with like the work that you can do. But now all of our clients, that's something that's really important to them. So it's all about like finding that sweet spot that works for you.
There's just incredible pressure on everybody, and specifically on women, to be thin. When I first moved here back then, there were just so many fad diets, and I tried every single one. And I would write all the things I ate down, and I would weigh them. I just started to realize I was spending more time focusing on what I was eating than on my life. You are the thing that you need to care for most delicately and in the most focused way in order for all these other things to work, for your relationships to work, for your creative life to work, for you to be able to take care of your family and your friends. You have to take care of yourself first. I love cheese. That's probably the one thing that
it's my favorite food.
I mean, sometimes I just sit down with some cheese and we have a little conversation. There are people who really become mired in disordered eating, but I think that a lot of Americans have disordered behavior around their food.
There's research to show that when we have foods that are more satisfying, we absorb more of the nutrients.
So this is a yogurt dressing, and it also has some feta, some olive oil, some fresh herbs. So it'll add like a really nice brightness to it and a touch of salt.
So it's like kind of like a green goddess style dressing, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I've applied it very liberally.
Yeah.
No, that's
great. You can like just dump it in.
Yeah, dump it in there. I always tell people, if you could just do 1 hour of kind of planning and prepping a week, like that can go so far. There's so many things that can take 2 minutes to make, but it'll make you feel full and satisfied.
Do you feel like people also feel like salads are boring just because typically what we grew up with was like that little green side salad that was just like some leaves?
Right, with the vinaigrette.
Yeah,
right.
I feel like this is like, I sound like a greeting card, but like this is like a party. Like there's a lot going on. Like when you have a salad like this, you're like, oh, and now there was this in there, now there was that in there. It's like fun to eat.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's really about how do I take care of myself, take care of my family in a way that's not burdensome and that tastes good. And the trick is just to not stress about it too much. Think about, putting those things in there that are gonna be satisfying, gonna be nutritional, and then, going and living your life.